Hey, what's up, man?
Not a lot, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm. Had a good weekend?
Yeah, I mean, aside from things you are all about to learn about, yeah, it was a good weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we're the CLG Faithful Podcast, and we're back with another episode. You know what number we're on?
We are on episode 50. Two episodes away from doing 1 year's worth of weekly podcast releases.
Wait, are we really on 50?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Alright, so I'm Nefarious. Joining me, as always, my co-host. Say hello.
What's up, guys? I'm Artrin.
Alright, so we're here to give you the rundown of all things CLG each and every single week. And now, we've got LCS back in the lineup.
Yeah, LCS, hype!
Alright, so just before we start that, I'm actually gonna plug the interview that we just did. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, so we actually got a chance to interview Ricky Lamb. He's one of the video producers for CLG. If you want to learn a little bit about how CSGO runs, because he did a lot of the CSGO videos, how CSGO runs, a little bit of the kind of back end of CLG as well, especially on the video production end, go give it a listen, because it's about an hour long. But it's just constantly us, ask him questions, kind of having a good time. We should talk a little bit in there too, It's a good thing if you want to learn a little bit about the back end work of CLG.
Yeah, we also go over quite a lot of different things, such as social media or player and org branding and things like that. So I personally think it's enjoyable listen. It's worth a lot. You get to learn a lot about the org.
Yeah,
I'm a little biased in that front, but
if you're someone who enjoys CLG as an organization and you want to know a little bit more about it, give it a listen. And hopefully coming in the next month or so, we might have another one.
Yeah, looking forward to doing more with the org. So
yeah,
keep you posted. All right, so let's start off with some League of Legends, and let's start off with the Academy team.
Yeah, so as you probably know, CLG, now that we have franchising in North America, every team has an academy team as well, which is basically a group of rookies, as like an NHL or NBA or whatever team would have like a farm team. That's essentially what we've got here. And they play the same teams that we would play on the main roster, but it seems like they're in reverse.
Correct.
So we played C9 first as CLG, and then 100 Thieves second. They play 100 Thieves Academy first, and then C9 Academy second. So it's kind of a nice little thing. You get to see on Thursday, Friday, you get to see the Academy teams playing, and you get to see the same Academy teams play against the same teams that the main rosters are about to play against, which is kind of nice because you get to see the rookies playing. These guys are going to be the next up-and-coming, NA LCS stars, hopefully. That's basically what the teams are vying for. And you get to see some pretty decent play, I think.
Not only that, you also get a little bit of rivalry to build up between orgs. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's Academy teams, so most orgs don't really care about that. But still, it's, our Academy team crushed you guys, and now our main org's going to crush you guys as well.
Exactly. It's a good little bit of rivalry, I think.
Well, it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be.
We started off against 100 Thieves Academy team, and we got perfect gamed.
Oof.
So, G fucking G. That's all I have to say. That's all I'm willing to say.
Yep. Next
Moving
up was Cloud9 Academy. And, I mean, after the 100 Thieves game, you don't really expect much. And,
I expected nothing, but I'm still let down. That's all I'm going to say about that matchup, too.
Yeah. We'll move on from there. I
don't know. This is boiling over into a lot of my frustrations with the teams, but I just expected more from the Academy team. And, I'm not trying to dismiss any of the players or laugh at any of the effort they've put into preparing for the matches or the effort that they've gone to just improve themselves, right? It's just, I expected more from a team that's been together for at least a split.
Yeah, but I mean, like, at the same time...
You don't expect to get perfect gamed.
No. Perfect gamed is kind of sad. But, you know, you look at someone like returning to the academy team in Omar God, and you're like, okay, he should be an amazing player. He's LCS caliber player for the most part. He came in when CLG needed him, and, you know, he did all right. He did all right.
Yeah, I think that even if you want to say hypothetically he was the worst jungler in LCS, right? Hypothetically, you go and say that.
Yeah.
You still expected him to learn from the main team, and presumably they're playing in-house scrims and practicing things and learning. And presumably Omar's learning from Reignover and then so on and so forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just expected more.
Well, the thing is like they're not actually. These are all played online too, right? These events. They're not played in.
I want to say they are.
They are. They're not actually played in the LCS studio.
Right.
That I think might also be it. I don't know where the Cloud or the CLG Academy guys, if they live with the LCS team or not. I'm not 100% on that. I imagine they probably do, but yeah.
Trying to remember. I think we covered this with the interview with Ricky M. But I don't quite remember.
Yeah.
At any rate, you know, let's move on before I start raging. So,
yeah. Wow.
Well, yeah. So we move up against Cloud9, and honestly,
the early game was great.
Yeah, the jungle matchup especially, Reignover was on Rengar, and that was
we now have someone who knows how to play Rengar.
It was a pleasure to watch.
It was a pleasure to watch someone play Rengar skillfully and not completely suck. Like, as much as I love Smithy, man, he could not play Rengar.
No. He could play Nidalee, he could play Kindred, he could play everything else.
Everything else, but when they were like, play Rengar, the collective sigh of just, ugh. It's like, ugh.
Hey man, it was better than Kha'Zix.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, God.
So, Reignover had constant pressure in the early game and generally made Sven's life hell with constant red buff invades.
He actually, there was one time where Reignover took Sven's red buff, and for whatever reason, Sven decided to come back to try and poke, and Reignover freaking punished him so hard. Like, he actually got the kill off of him because of it. It's like, if Sven hadn't come back, you know, Reignover would have just taken his red buff and moved on. But Sven came back to try and take the red buff and didn't have smite, and Reignover punished him for it. That was when I was like, wow, we have someone who knows how to play Rengar and punish with Rengar.
Also, I thought they did a pretty good job of diving Gangplank early game and just trying to make sure he's kept down. Which, every time I see a team with Gangplank, any team with Gangplank, why aren't you just constantly diving him 24/7? Why are you letting him free farm?
He's not that great. Like, Gangplank can do some damage if you dive him, but that's only if his barrels are already set up.
Or if he has his ult. But
at the same time, like a 3-man gank, like they did have a really nice 3-man gank top pretty early on, where they did such amazing work balancing, or like kind of like, you know, juggling that turret aggro. There was 2 times where I was like, oh God, they're going to die. You know, oh God, Darshan's going to die.
I will give credit to Licorice, though. I thought he actually played that one pretty well.
He did almost play that fight really well. He did. Cloud9 ended up coming up, you know, their jungler and Jensen. So Sven and Jensen both came up and ended up, you know, 2-for-2ing that fight. But at the same time, it's just like, you know, Licorice did play that really well, but CLG had a really good 3-man gank top, and unfortunately.
So I think the main criticisms that are going to come out of this, one's going to be our draft. It seems that we did not expect the Zillion pick at all, and that threw a massive wrench into our plans.
So I guess we should go over picks, because we didn't really do that. So Darshan played Ornn, Reignover on Rengar, Huhi playing Malzahar, Stixxay was on Varus, and Biofrost was on Taric.
Stixxay Varus, man.
Yeah,
I always love seeing it.
Oh yeah, my favorite. Licorice, as we said, was on Gangplank. Sven, as we said, Sejuani. I guess we should say Sven Scaren, even though... Wait, does Sven Sven, is he in NA now?
On TSM.
He's on TSM. Okay, so we should, Sven scare him. Jensen was on Zillion, which is
you ask this every time. Every time we go over the rosters, you ask, is it Sven or Sven now?
It's like, well, we got like at one point it was going to be they're gonna have Sven Skaren and they're gonna have Sven before they before TSM replaced him with Mike Young.
I would feel so bad for anyone who is dyslexic and have to read those.
I know,
names.
that's what I'm saying, right? It's like, oh god, that would be awful. And then Tristana was played by Sneaky and Smoothly played Rom. So it was the Malzahar versus Zillion matchup that I think really screwed who he
highlight of the mid lane. Infinite wave clear from both sides. We're back to the Ziggs Oriana.
Oh, God.
Every game.
But the issue is that Jensen was really good on timing the ultimates on Zillion to, bait out a lot of damage and get the ultimate off just before death so that, CLG didn't have time to counteract the, like, oh, he's got ult, leave him alone.
Yeah, he did very well. I thought Jensen actually kept them in the game a few times with some very good ults. Had they not gone through in time, I think CLG would have actually pulled ahead because they were actually very critical.
Yeah, definitely a couple of times.
Just going back to the main criticisms, I think the other one's going to be on Stixxay. He was too far forward and got caught out two key times actually. One was a fight around mid-game in the mid lane. And Sven Skaren managed to pull actually a very well-timed Sejuani ult and catch Stixxay in the middle of basically all 5 people.
Yep.
So
it was pretty... It was a real... Yeah, I mean, you gotta say, well done ult by Sven Skaren.
Yeah. So that one was there. And then the second one was a team fight. After Cloud9 got Baron and they were sieging bot lane and we were defending the bot lane outer turret. Bot lane inner turret, right? And Stixxay gets caught again. And you can say he was too far forward. You can say the team should have defended him. But at the end of the day, he got caught and Sujus just gets routed from there. And we lose. So that's really all I have to say about the Cloud9 game. Felt like we were doing really well early game. That was very good positive. Rengar was a shining beacon there.
Yep.
Everyone else just kind of played okay.
Yeah, it was okay. They played all right, but it wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we move on to 100 Thieves?
Sure.
Yeah.
So
go
ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna say we definitely felt the loss of Aframu in this game.
Yeah, we got to see it.
Yeah, you got to see it live.
100 Thieves were just the better team.
Oh yeah.
Okay, they played like they were the better team for sure.
Yeah.
They played really well around bot side and constantly ganked bot lane.
Yep.
That gave them a winning lane when originally we should have on paper had the winning lane. Just constant pressure because Gangplank is not going to win the early game against Gnar.
Definitely not.
So Darshan ended up losing his turret there, as expected, and the game didn't go on long enough for him to scale.
No,
and
so
then,
one of the big reasons is Gangplank that is getting out-pushed and out-fought by a Gnar, he needs time and farm, and that was just like Darshan didn't get a chance to do any of that.
He also left to roam with the team a lot when he could have stayed and defended against the split push.
Yeah, when he should have stayed to defend a split push.
Interestingly enough, it's one of Darshan's main, I guess, faults you could say is that he sacrifices too much for the team, I think.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting because a lot of times you have the top laners who just split push too much and they never group with the team.
Yeah.
When they should.
Right, kind of like the top lane island.
I think sometimes Darshan is kind of the opposite where he'll go and he's willing to leave the lane and he's willing to stop split pushing and go join the team. And a lot of times it works out well. But sometimes you do that too much and then you miss out on a lot of farm.
Yeah. That's kind of what happened here, where even though it's like a 34 or 35-minute long game, Darshan had like three completed items.
Three and a half, some of that. And I mean, that could just be a lot of team calls too, right? The team asked for him to come, so he does that. So
and I mean, and it shows, right? Is the Gangplank then becomes less of a damage threat and more of a damage soak.
Yeah, well, I guess the other thing I have to say is that Huya did not look comfortable on Zillion.
No, it almost feels as though they saw the Malzahar pick and they're like, oh, well, Zillion counters him because we saw that yesterday. Let's do that. And Huya was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, my working theory, and this is just 100% pure speculation, or me just sort of talking on my ass. I'm guessing their scrim partners may not have played Zillion, so they just weren't prepared for it, and then they saw Malzahar, and they figured, okay, well, we can play Zillion too, who he's just not comfortable with it because he hasn't practiced it.
Yeah, he hasn't practiced against it or as it.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe they did see in the scrims, but they weren't expecting in that situation against C9.
Yeah.
Maybe they're expecting a Rise or something like that. Or Azir.
Yeah.
Which,
who knows?
hey, Azir's meta, man. We're going to see that Huya Azir come back.
Oh.
It's been some time. I'm sure he's gotten decent at it now.
Hopefully.
So, I guess my final words are to Stixxay and CLG. You should look up this item called a QSS. Especially when you're playing Malzahar, look it up. I don't know. They just played really cocky, and
I mean,
none of them had.
He did buy one. He did buy one.
Yeah, but none of them bought a QSS before 30 minutes.
Yeah,
it's Malzahar.
Yeah.
Why aren't you buying that second item or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Malzahar basically was the entire reason that they won.
Like, why do people pick Malzahar other than his bullshit pushing?
Yeah.
You flash ult and then you have suppression. I'm sure he can silence and do stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But just the instant flash ult for suppression makes it really easy to pick someone off.
Yeah.
If you have QSS, you're negating a significant amount of why you're picking Malzahar. And
yeah, like
why aren't you building that? Like, I get it, you have a Zillion ult, but okay, great, you get Zillion ulted. Then you're just stuck there, and as soon as you come back, you're gonna die. And that's exactly what happened to Stixxay, where I thought he played pretty well for a good amount of the game. He was doing a really good job, actually doing frontline AD carry, dishing out damage, and dodging a lot of skill shots. But then the one time he steps too far forward, he gets Malzahar ulted, and it's GG.
Yep. That was all it took.
Any final thoughts?
Man, just we really needed to be a lot more stronger with the objective control. They had an Infernal Drake, and a Mountain Drake back to back, unchallenged. And then another Mountain Drake, unchallenged. Not a single one of those Drakes, I think, actually got challenged the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Sometimes you just can't contest it because of the position you're in. But
yeah,
the entire weekend we got maybe one? I think maybe two Drakes. It was pretty bad. The objective.
It was legit.
I don't recall any. I don't recall any Rift Heralds either. Do you?
You actually just like cut out there.
Oh, I don't recall any Rift Heralds at all.
No, I don't think there was a single Rift Herald play that was played in either CLG game.
Mm-hmm. I guess on the final note, the communication, I guess, is probably still developing because the players played okay.
Yep.
I didn't think they were horrible. I didn't think anyone was stellar either.
It was just, yeah, like you said, it was okay. They just didn't have any breakout plays. You know, a couple of tussles and team fights could have gone either way, and they just happened to go for their opponents, you know, Cloud9 and 100 Thieves, and that just kind of, you know, snowballed from there.
Don't you love Best of One?
I love best of ones.
God, I hate it so much.
Hey, I mean, some people were saying, "Hey, best of ones is better for CLG. We always like to win that first game and then lose the second one, right?" So,
God, that one where we win the first game with the great level 1 strat.
Yeah.
We guarantee lose second game, and then we make the third game last for like 60 minutes.
Yeah, and then all comes down to the last team fight.
That was awful.
God, that was just like. So I mean, at least it was exciting, you know, like.
Sure. Right. So this is not me being salty. I genuinely don't like best of 1.
No.
I would much rather have best of 3, or if you want, it's too many games, whatever. I think best of 2 is a fair compromise, but I don't know. I like to see series. I like to see the adaptations. I don't like one-off cheese games being the potential to decide something, or 9 times out of 10 you execute something and it doesn't work. But
this one time it just happened to have a small quirk and bam, boom, there you go, game over.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's week 1. I wouldn't panic.
No, I wouldn't either. I'd like to see us against some other teams. I mean, C9 and 100 Thieves both went 2-0 this weekend. So that's big. TSM won 0-2, so I mean, at least they're on the same footing. And they looked arguably worse than we did.
Right. But no one should realistically be calling TSM a bad team either. So.
No, TSM is a very strong team to begin with. I mean, like you have Bjergsen and you have Hanser. It's just like, well, like, there you go.
Right. So let's move on to Smash.
Yeah.
I think we've exhausted League.
I think we have 21 minutes of League is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll move on to Smash. And both of our CLG Melee boys were there. It was Genesis 5 this weekend. Unfortunately, though, SFAT, Pew Pew You tweeted out the night before, "Oh, great, my partner, SFAT, is basically puking in the bathroom right now. Sick fat, hashtag sick fat." So that'll set you up for Genesis 5. They competed in both singles and doubles, but we'll start with Melee first.
All right. How did when do you want to start with? You want to start with PPU or SFAT?
It doesn't matter. Let's start with Pew Pew You.
All right. So he started off in his pools and faced off against Skunk and skunked him. Took him down 2-0. Next up, he was against Kleps, who went down the exact same scoreline, 2-0. Moving on, Mog, Emoji, and France also went down to our boy, 2-0. And last but not least, in his pools was Captain Face Roll, and it's on the name.
Come on, read it. He's definitely the captain of being Face Roll, that's for sure.
Alright. I didn't want to read it.
I mean, I saw the name, and I was just like, that's too perfect. Too perfect. If only that game was broadcast.
It reminds me of some of the names people come up with in League or Smash where it's just like, what were you thinking when you made this name?
I know, right? Like, what?
Did you really think you weren't going to get meme for it?
Yeah. What really, really went through your name when you made that? What went through your head when you came up with that name? Like, seriously, were you smoking something? You got to pass that.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
No.
Alright, so this was PPU into the winner's bracket where he faces off against Crush. And since we're already on the trend of appropriate names, PPU was crushed by Crush 3-0. This knocks him down to the loser's bracket where he faces off against Rocky. There he beats him 3-0. And he moves up against Slox. And Slox was actually a very competitive matchup against him. PPU does manage to beat him, but it was a 3-2. Next up, it was Duck. Well, fuck. Duck gives PPU a really hard time and sweeps him 3-0. And this means that PPU finishes 17th place, and honestly, it's not the best of results, but...
No. I mean, it's we always like to see our boys finish in, like, the top 8.
Mm-hmm.
Top 8 is a good spot for them to be, but I mean, he was seeded 20th, so you can't really fault him for, finishing higher than he seeded.
Yep, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just really harsh today on
I mean, it was an overall pretty terrible weekend for so far for CLG fans. Like Cloud9 or our CLG Academy got crushed. Our LCS boys pretty much got crushed. Like Pew Pew U knocked out 17th place. I mean, he made a decent run in the losers bracket.
So how did Sick Fat do?
Yeah, so Sick Fat was, puking in his hotel room the night before the event. It's always a good sign, right? Always a good sign. He did show up nonetheless and competed his heart out. In his pools, he faced off against Zeta, Suck, Cyan, Atomsk, Absent Page, and beat them all 2-0.
You sure he wasn't just coughing all over all the controllers, so none of them wanted to touch him?
I have a feeling that might have been a little bit of it, where he just decided, you know what? If I cough enough and sniffle and stare at them with my baggy blackened eyes, maybe they'll just try and run away because they'll be like, shit, he's gonna make me sick. What an asshole.
Anyway, work in the winners bracket.
In the winners bracket, he came up against AMSA. AMSA beat SFAT 3-0. So you're starting to see a trend here where, make it into the winners bracket out of pools and then instantly lose to your first opponent to make it harder on yourself.
I bet you AMSA actually had his flu shot, so he's like, nah.
Oh, yeah. AMSA was probably like, dude, I'm protected. Suck it. K-Pan came up next to SFAT beat
The jokes are really bad this episode.
They really are. Ryan Ford, hopefully no relation to Rob Ford, came up next as the mirror match. The Fox versus Fox.
Isn't he your favorite Canadian?
Oh, I love Rob Ford. Rob Ford was a stand-up Canadian. No, he wasn't. SFAT showed him how to play Fox, though, who he beat 3-1. S2J was his next opponent, and this was actually a really great match to watch for CLG fans. SFAT was he was reading S2J like a book. It was just awesome knockdown or awesome, stock after awesome stock. SFAT was just he got a couple of spikes in there, which was just, it's beautiful to watch. SFAT tears S2J down 3-0. Next was Lucky. Unluckily, this was played off stream. And unfortunately, Lucky did beat SFAT 3-2. That means SFAT finishes in 13th place. A little disappointing, but I mean, SFAT was coughing up a storm all weekend, so you can't really blame him for, seeding or finishing a little bit lower than he seeded. He seeded in 9th. It sucks, but you know what? When you show up because you have competitive integrity to show up whether you're sick or healthy, it's a good view for him.
Yeah, I guess we do have one piece of CS:GO news.
Oh,
yeah. So Potter on CLG.Red was let go from the org. That's all I have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we also have QFat playing as well. We got Melee Doubles.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, they started off their pools pretty wickedly, beating Crispy and Rocked, Rooster and Den, Calvin and Spud, 42nd and JKJ, and Nintendude and Cage, all 2-0. In the pool's finals, they fought against La Luna and Lucky and beat them 3-1. Into the winners bracket, they found Plup and Mewtwo King, and just like in singles, they lost to them 3-2 right off the bat. That kind of sucked. So,
yeah.
Next up, they played Shroomed and S2J in losers bracket. A close one, but Sick Fat did take the edge 3-2. Their next opponent, though, was the Swedish Dream Team in Armada and Android. And I think a bit of the sickness must have got to them because they kind of lost every game to the Swedes, going 0-3. That means that Sick Fat did finish in 4th place. Not bad, but in doubles, we kind of come to expect them to, finish top 2. But 4th place, especially with one player being, brutally sick, it's pretty good.
It's understandable.
It was the best finish for CLG all weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Actually, this is a really busy weekend for esports. There was the CSGO major going on. Overwatch League started, which I can't watch it for my life of me. That's right. It continued. I can't watch it for my life.
No, I can't.
It's too hectic for me.
I've tried, but I'm just not a fan of Overwatch.
Yeah, I hope it succeeds because it's good for esports if it does. It's terrible if it doesn't succeed, but...
Yeah, if Overwatch League fails, basically any big investor is going to look at that as a sign that esports is not going to keep going strong.
Or it's unstable.
Yeah, and just not going to touch it with a 20,000-foot pole. I should say a $20 million pole.
Yeah.
Great jokes today, folks. Great jokes.
All right, let's end it before we lose all of our listeners.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. This has been the CLG Faithful Podcast. We are a weekly podcast, and we go over all things CLG. If you do enjoy what we do, please take a few minutes to follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, or you can give us a ratings on iTunes and Google Play. We do love getting feedback, so please send us your thoughts over to clgfaithful@gmail.com. We will get back to you.
That's right. And in case you're wondering who we are, so I'm Nefarious. You can find me on Twitter at NEFAR0SS. And Archer, where can people find you?
And you guys can find me on Twitter as well. Twitter.com/ArtronTV, as in television.
Yeah, and just as a final note, please do check out our interview with Ricky and then give us your thoughts. We'd love to hear more about you. We want to do more interviews whenever possible with people from the CLG org. So if you have any, feedback or just general questions you think we should have asked there, within reason, of course. We can't just go like, so what happened with CSGO?
Yeah.
We're probably not going to get that answer.
You're not going to get that answer. No.
All right. On that note, thanks for listening, everyone. And we're signing off.
Peace.